Okay, hi everyone. Happy Friday, December 27th. I hope you can hear me because I bought some fucking external microphone and I did an A/B test earlier today. Sounded exactly the same. This tab is using your camera or microphone, so I don't know. I'm just hoping that at least you can hear me one way or the other. Bought some kind of supposedly better microphone. Did an A/B test and it didn't seem to matter at all. Here, let me do that. Make sure everything is okay here. Just give me. We're not in a rush today. Huge shout out to everyone. I haven't done a show in a couple days, so I'm just chilling, a little bit tired, a little bit shell shocked. I got a new assignment up in the Bronx. It's a crazy situation there. Let me just make sure that everything is okay, and then I'll look at talk maybe about NFL Week 17. I don't know if any of you guys have looked at Week 17 in the NFL. I skipped football this year, but I did look at Week 17 a little bit. Had a little bit of extra time. I'm in a free contest where I enter free picks, and I don't know, some things jumped out at me a little bit. Some of the biggest edges, of course. Shit. Some of the biggest edges in the NFL season can be found in Week 17 when the market can't adjust for the anomalies of the week. All right. Can everyone hear me? Shout out to everyone who is waiting, who's watching right now. Let's see. All right. Nasty Nate, Alex Ramirez, James Stacy. Shout out to you, David Hutton. Just want to make sure that everyone can hear me. Just someone say something. I know no one's not. I know someone's watching, right? Someone's watching. Aaron 007. Shout out to you. Yeah, I see the little microphone thing going. Just want to make sure that people. Okay, great. Shout out to New Nerd and Shamil. Shamil says we can hear you. All right, great. I got this stupid microphone. All right. Quinn Rivera, shout out to you. Okay, so once again, I don't know who's a new viewer right now, who's an old viewer, but earlier this year, I wanted to do a show, and I've obviously had a lot more time now in my schedule and life to focus only on the areas of sports betting where I feel more confident that I have an edge. Before in my career, I had to cover everything and anything. That meant MMA, NHL, NBA, college basketball, college football, NFL, MMA, everything, MLB, everything. I was covering it all, NHL. And now I can focus. In baseball season, I focused only on baseball. I had one of my best baseball seasons ever, made my best baseball season ever. And this year, I started focusing on college basketball. I did college basketball second half lines for a few weeks and did roughly as well as I hoped and expected. Well enough to justify doing a show. So a couple weeks ago, I started doing a show, and I did way better in the show than I was even doing in the first few weeks, and way better than I thought I would do, way better than I would expected, and way better than I'm going to do going forward, right? Next month, we know what happens. It's a whole different ball game. The intensity quadruples. The intensity steps up by an order of magnitude, right? Conference play, massive college basketball cards on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. There's going to be massive quantities of games at 7 Eastern time, 7:30, 8 Eastern time, 8:30, 9. I don't know how we're going to handle it in this show, but I do know it's going to be overwhelming. Probably not a lot of time for joking around or bullshitting or saying hi or telling people that I love them, all that stuff. I know that one thing that people, kind of like about what I do is how much I tell everyone I love them. I spread a lot of love around, but there's going to be no more love starting January 1st until mid-March, right? As soon as the round of 16, until the Sweet 16, basically, right? January 1st, straight shot until the Sweet 16 of college basketball intensity. I'm looking forward to it because I have handled it in the past and done well with it. This year, I'm going to be focused on it. I hope I'm going to be able to find time in my schedule to do it as well as, to devote as much preparation as I need to. I've got my, strategies for second half lines that obviously have done very well so far this year. Pretty big sample size now, going back to the beginning of the season. And it wasn't like I picked and chose, I wasn't like, oh, let's see what sport I'm doing well in. There's that, 5 negative records and 1 positive record. That's my sport. No, this is, a market that I thought I might be able to beat a bit. And so far I have been able to. So, but again, who knows what January brings? The intensity steps up, 0 guarantees, except that I'm going to, do my best. So shout out to everyone here who's watching now. Shout out to Paco Healy. Shout out to Jay Peach. Shout out to Tito Banton, Aaron 007, Maxwell Smart, Quinn Rivera. Yeah, so we'll talk a little bit about, if you have anything to say about NFL Week 17 when we start talking about it, that's great. If you have nothing to say about it, that's fine as well. I'm just going to share with you what I'm thinking. I did make a couple bets on NFL Week 17 already. We'll see how they turn out, but that's just for fun. We can make a few jokes. And then, talk about NFL Week 17. I see Maxwell Smart's in the house. Maxwell Smart, maybe you can share with us any thoughts you have about college basketball with January right around the corner. Then we'll do, the 7 o'clock Eastern time halftime lines, just 2 games. There might not be any bets on those games for sure. But, I figured, what the hell, let's do a show. There are games up. It'll be fun. And then on Monday, and then January, whole different ball game. Should be fun, though. And hopefully profitable. I think it will be profitable. Shout out to you, Dear Slayer Ski. Happy holidays. Trap House says, who likes the Steelers versus RG3? I kind of like the Steelers. I'll tell you my thoughts on NFL Week 17. And I am seeing, NFL right now from sort of a clean slate. I haven't been like everyone else experiencing brutal ups and downs for, months on end. So I'm coming in with it with no biases, no frustrations, no elation, no adrenaline, no nothing. Just seeing it a straight snapshot. And I've also found in my betting history that all is also when I tend to see things most clearly as well. All right, so let's see. Other comments coming in here. Oh wow, Paco Healy says Giants beat the Eagles. Interesting. That one I was thinking maybe the under. I know the first game they played was low scoring. Paco Healy says Giants beat the Eagles. Yeah, that everyone looking at that game is going to say, "Oh, Eagles all over it. It's a must win for them, and the Giants suck." Giants are coming in saying we don't want to get embarrassed on our home field. And I could see that one, Paco Healy. I could also see an under on that one. That's an interesting, it's a classic situation. I guarantee you in every contest straight up, 90% of people are picking the Eagles. That might be a good shot to try to be contrarian and take the Giants. Good eye there, Paco Healy. Let's see, what else do we have? Ertz being hurt is big. I saw that. Yes, the Eagles could be tight. Yes, there were a bunch of sort of like ugly underdogs that could matter. I remember one year in Week 17 in the NFL. Swear to God, you can go back and look at this because I previewed this game with Sean Higgs, and I was talking with him about it just a few days ago on Twitter, I think, or somewhere. There was one line in Week 17 NFL. I think it was involving the Pats or something. I'm pretty sure it was involving the Pats. Might have been involving Denver, but it was one of those Week 17 lines that literally moved 10 points from opening. Right? You never see that at any point ever in NFL anywhere else, but in Week 17 you do. So it was one of those lines that had moved 10 points. And when you look at the game, you knew why. It was because one team didn't care. One team was sitting everyone. One team it was a must-win situation. All that stuff. I don't remember what game it was, but I'll look back and try to find out what it was. Anyway, you know what happened, right? The market moved 10 points, and it turned out that the line move was totally wrong. And I remember Sean Higgs made a pick against that line movement. And the line, a day later, the line moved 8 or whatever points against him. And he was like, no, I still like it. Wound up covering relatively easily. So that just tells you, how little you can really know in NFL Week 17. And that's why there can be, it's a fun week. It's a fun week to bet. Take some long shots, fading common wisdom, fading, the obvious analysis that everyone is discussing. Maxwell Smart says Mount St. Mary's up 13. Yeah, the 2 points that were going today. Oh, shout out to Noli Knows. The 2 games that were going today, unfortunately, I would have given out a play on Twitter if I had anything on either of those games pregame. Problem was, aside from the fact that they're both tiny conferences, is that there were key injuries in both games, right? Starter for Coppin State was supposed to be out. I believe he is out. And starter for Massachusetts Lowell was also supposed to be out, and I believe he's out as well. And that doesn't necessarily mean in college basketball that you bet against that team. Exhibit A. Are you guys listening? Because this is knowledge here. I don't just give picks, I give knowledge. Exhibit A, Maryland Seton Hall, right? Maryland Seton Hall. You guys remember that, right? Seton Hall, 2 huge guys out. Maryland, a favorite, a ranked team, awful loss, right? Maryland's going in there, top 10 ranked team, awful loss, going into Seton Hall with, 2 starters out. Oh, Maryland's a lock, right? Well, we remember what happened. I remember I looked at that game. I didn't bet Seton Hall, but I definitely didn't bet Maryland. I stayed off that game. I like the under in that one. And in general, when there's news like that, I tend to like the under a little bit, which is why I did say on Twitter that if you gave me a free play on one of these games, I would have taken the Mount St. Mary's under on that one. But I didn't bet that one either. But the point is that, and this is especially true when you're talking about, tiny conferences like Coppin State and Mass Lowell. So, when you find that there's news of a starter being injured for one of those teams, it's usually just a stay off for me. It's definitely not an automatic fade. Definitely not. I definitely wasn't jumping all over Loyola Maryland and Mount St. Mary's because of that injury news, although Maxwell Smart tells us now that Mount St. Mary's is up. But again, Exhibit A of what I'm talking about, Maryland, Seton Hall. I'm sure you all remember that. Very recently, we saw that. Okay, shout out to Unbilly Babble, Alex Ramirez, shout out to you. Paco Healy, thoughts on USC Iowa Holiday Bowl? I want to bet USC, but I haven't pulled the trigger. Well, that's funny. You should ask it, Paco. I wasn't going to bring that up. There's a lot of people who are saying that, like, I'm never going to lose again. And for a long time, I was saying, like, that's really just, you don't understand. The losses come. But now I'm starting to think maybe not. Because I did have a free play at a book from a long time ago that just somehow, from years ago, and I had a free play and I had to use it in a parlay. I had to use it in a 3-team parlay. So I saw it. I was like, what the hell? I'll do it. I didn't think they were going to credit it, or even allow the bet to go through. But I just put it on 3 random bowl sides. I barely even looked at what I was looking at. I clicked on like UNC and over UNC and then Iowa. Turned out they are going to credit it, which is very nice. Turned out that the 3 sides that I literally picked at random, UNC obviously won and covered, and the total covered. And so I do happen to have Iowa in that one. So we really need a win by Iowa tonight. No, I'm just kidding about that. I'm never going to lose again. But I did think it was funny that in the midst of this, unsustainable hot streak that I'm on in college basketball second halves, I also happened to pick 3 legs on a parlay randomly. In 2 seconds. It took me 2 seconds to click on 3 things. It looks like that one might win. So I think that I did look into that game a little bit. Yeah, Iowa has, I believe they also have like someone, I forgot who it was. The name's escaping me, but there was someone who passed away who's connected to the program. And in general, Iowa's a very disciplined program. I understand why you might want to take USC, but I randomly took Iowa, Paco Healy. And then when I researched the game a little bit, I was glad that I had randomly picked Iowa because I was like, yeah, you know what? If I had to pick one of those sides, I would take Iowa in this one. So my lean is on Iowa. I do have it in a parlay that was given to me free by a sportsbook from like years ago, and I chose all the sides randomly, and Iowa happened to be one of those sides. So let's see. Other comments coming in, and then we'll look around. Let's see. Shout out to Maxwell Smart. Yeah, no, but seriously, all that stuff about how I'm never going to lose again, a total joke. I not guarantee you, but would not at all be surprised if my first show in January, I'm sitting there. It's awesome. 20% ROI, got 50 people watching the show. Everyone, hanging with bated breath on my every move. 3-8 first day, right? Easily that could happen. I'll be able to weather it, easily. Huge losing first day, huge losing first week. Hopefully January will be a winning month overall. Very different ball game. Historically, for me personally, February has always been a great month for me in college basketball, and March has always been good as well. January, dicier. January has often been a losing month for me in college basketball. But, again, I'm going to be uniquely focused this year, and hopefully it'll be okay. Let's see. Other comments coming in. Maxwell Smart says, Pete, stop with the humbleness. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Maxwell Smart. It's such a fine line you have to toe in life. The problem is just arrogance is so funny, and I just cannot resist a joke. I would never say anything arrogant ever if it just weren't so funny. And that's what's so tough. Because then I say these arrogant things as a joke, and then the universe looks at me and they screw me. It pride goes before the fall. And then I'm like, I was just kidding. The universe is like, we don't care. So it's a very tough line to play, to toe. Maxwell Smart. All right. Yeah. So anyway, but the point that I made in the midst of all this, keep this in mind if you're doing your own handicapping. I might start a Patreon where I sell my my overall analysis of college basketball cheaply, but something, because my boss is giving me a hard time. He's like, you got to sell something. So I'm like, all right, I'll try to figure it out. But keep this in mind. Don't overreact to injury news in college basketball. And it's understandable why, right? The people coming, the people who you have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. Maybe, people who are friends with the team know, but the average person, even the person who subscribes to has a subscription to every information site out there, still has a hard time knowing what the response will be, what the new, strategies will be, how much preparation will go into it, what the real talent level and preparedness of the people replacing the guy is. It's very easy to overreact to injury news in college basketball. Oh, some big rebounder. In my experience, it tends to be big men that matter the most, right? In general, guards are often, the news is often, this is just in general. In my opinion, in general, injury news to guards in college basketball, unless they're senior guards, is a little bit over, and then of course then it matters the opponent as well. How well is the opponent going to be suited to take advantage of the new weakness in that team, and how much time have they had to prepare, and who's the coach? Is it first year, second year coach, or is it Coach K or Tom Izzo? So all that stuff matters, but the important thing is that my just general advice, and I know this from getting burned years ago, and even like last year in college basketball, overreacting to injury news in college basketball, and we do have that in play in both of the games tonight. Huge, the scoring guy for Coppin State was out in his last game, and I believe he's out this game as well. They play a high-paced game with a lot of shots. He takes the most shots. Important piece of the puzzle for them, and the same deal with UMass Lowell. So that's why I didn't give any opinions on even these two games, but that's also why there might well be some good value in these two games at halftime lines. Let's just take a quick glance at what's going on in Mount St. Mary's. Wow, look at that. Oh, wow, holy shit, it's already halftime. Oh my God. All right, well, let's look at that. Sorry, glad I checked it. I wanted to talk about NFL Week 17. Maybe we'll talk about that just a little bit after the halftime lines are up. Let's quickly look at this one. All right, so there you go. Mount St. Mary's blowing them out. Pace is roughly dead on, right? Shout out to everyone who's joining me on this Friday night. Happy New Year to you all. Happy Christmas, happy Kwanzaa, happy Hanukkah, whatever the hell you celebrate, or if you celebrate nothing, or if you just are as a protest gesture, sit around and stew in misery. Happy misery to you. Whatever you're doing for this holiday couple of weeks here. Happy shout out to all of you. All right, let me just look at this right now here. Okay, let's see. Let's see what the lines are. Interesting stuff here. Look at this. Interesting stuff. Oh, but McKnight is in, though. You see, and there you go. All the news that I saw, and I knew McKnight was in, but when I saw the line drop to 4.5, that made me think that that had to only be news that he was in. So there you go. The guy who was supposed to be injured for Coppin State, Kamar McKnight, is playing and leading them in scoring. All right, let's see what we got here. Okay. Yeah. All right. Let's see what the situation is. Hang tight here. That's the other thing, is there's also last-minute information that can be very hard to, if there's last-minute injury or personnel changes in the pros, you will always know about it. But in college, very different. I'm not seeing a lineup yet. I am seeing, though, Kamar McKnight is in for Coppin State. Interesting. Let's see if they're hey, it's possible these books won't even hang lines on this game, in which case I don't know what we'll do. But let's see. Let's see what the situation is. Interesting stuff. Let's see a second half line. Hit me with something, baby. Hit me with something, baby. We got our bankrolls ready. We got our bet sizes worked out, right? Come on. Hit me with something. Let's see what the line is. Probably I'm going to guess Coppin State -1 maybe. Let's see what we got here. Let's just wait for this line. Let's see what, well, I'm not seeing anything. Let's see what we got. Aaron 007, maybe you're that as confused about the injury situation as the rest of us. Yes, definitely. Let's see. Oh, shit, Mr. Gogster, shout out to you. Everyone and their granny on the aisles. Wow, okay. Well, if Mr. Gogster and Jimmy are on something, that's something that I would maybe blindly tail. How's NHL going for you, Gogster? Is it going as well as you expected? Let's see. All right. Okay. Shout out to everyone. Flick my bick. All right, let's see a line again. Come on. Hit us with something here. We're sitting here, twiddling our thumbs here, and these books are, is there any line? Is anyone seeing a line? Give us something. A money line, a total. 1, 2, 4. +1, +0.5, something. What do we got here? I don't know. It's possible that they won't hang a line at all. And that will be, less funny than a line coming up late. I don't know. If you're seeing anything in any of these books, might not be a line. In which case, it'll be okay, If they're scared of us. We'll talk NFL Week 17, though. Stick around after these two games are over because I just have a few things that I was seeing and thinking, and if any of you disagree or agree, John Doe, shout out to you. Excuse me. Mr. Gogster says, thanks, Peter. Yeah, it's great, especially in December. Slow start in October, but I'm making it happen, Pete. Very nice, Mr. Gogster. Don't bite off more than you can chew, and it sounds to me Mr. Gogster has the look of someone who's bitten exactly what he can chew and no more. No lines. There might not be a line here. Sometimes books do that unexpectedly for whatever reason, because they don't create their own lines, especially not second half lines. They get it from, consultants. And sometimes those consultants might have a problem or, take the day off. There's a lot of reasons why a line might not come up. We might not get one. Here we go. I'm seeing -1 at a certain book, Coppin State. And if you have that book, yeah, I like that. That is definitely going to be an official play here. Coppin State -1. Coppin State -1, that's an official play. Coppin State -1. The numbers like that with McKnight in. That is medium big or big. And I will rate that one medium big, but borderline. Could be big. Okay, Coppin State, that's a play. Again, if it loses, sure. If it loses, that's just, par for the course, right? This is a -110 line. My goal in this show was to be, I was like 53.5%, and I'll be fine. With a high volume. That's a good thing about college basketball is if you can really hit something like 53.5%, the limits are low, but the volume is high, you can have a nice little time. So Coppin State, that's an official play, -1. -1 graded medium big, borderline though. Could be big. And again, if it wins, great. If it loses, come on. You know what we're doing here, right? If it loses, that means my ROI will only be like 20.5% or something, which is still totally unsustainable. You know what I'm saying? Any kind people, the guys who like kill MLB and stuff, they have like a 3-4% ROI. When I was doing so great in MLB for years on end, I had a 2% ROI over a big sample size, but still. These days of 6-2, 10-1 in a row. That's just not the way this stuff works, and you all know that. And I'm just reminding you. All right, Coppin State. That's what do you know? I don't know. Could be wrong. Probably would have bet it even if McKnight had been out. So that's a play. -1, graded medium big, borderline big. Could have made the argument for big. Now, if this loses, I'll still be up for the week. I think I've had 2 plays. I think so. Just keep this stuff in mind. Wow, the UMass Lowell game soaring over. And the number's also kind of like Mount St. Mary's under a little bit, just a little bit as well at 36.5. I'm not going to make that official play, but I do have to acknowledge it. When you see some shit with value, acknowledge it, right? Just like when you see a dope MC, acknowledge it, right? Mount St. Mary's. That's a small edge there. The 36.5. I'm not gonna take it. Coppin State -1, official play, graded medium big. And then the number's even like the under just a little bit as well at 74. We're not gonna take that one either. I'll acknowledge it. All right. Mine's not moving at all. I hope this one wins. Interesting line here. Markets like it, or maybe the numbers like it. Look at the UMass Lowell game. People talking NHL. Nobody knows likes the under in that one. Yeah. I mean, my numbers say under, and also team total under. Would you guys be a bunch of lambs and maybe hit the like button? It costs you nothing, and if the SEO guys tell me it matters, although I don't understand why, but that's what they say. All right. Lowell and Maryland. Let's look at these lines. This is an interesting one too. Yeah, the numbers like Mount St. Mary's under 36.5, and the both teams under 74. Nothing crazy, but they definitely like it. Definitely liking an edge on those. Yeah, that's what they like. Right. You know what? I will make that one an official play. I'll just make the under 74 small, graded small. Again, I have to make a video about how I grade all this stuff. So I'll make the under 74 a play as well, graded small though, graded small. But that is going to be official as well, just because the numbers like it. They like it a little. I'm gonna make it small. Liking it a little means like a 53% win rate, which is a 47% loss rate. Let's see what else we have. They like Coppin State, though. The numbers like Coppin State. Pre-game. Okay, so here we go. Wow, look at this. Lowell and Maryland -4 and 81. Numbers like under 81 a bit as well. This one makes me nervous, and I'll explain why. But the numbers like the under makes me real nervous. But all right, I'll make that one an official play as well. Under 81, Loyola, Maryland, UMass. And that will be graded. That's medium, smaller, medium. I don't like this one. My gut tells my gut tells the numbers say yes. My gut tells me no, and I'll tell you why in a second. But I'll grade it, and I'll grade it medium small. The numbers say it's medium or borderline medium small. I'm going to grade it medium small. My gut based on nothing except my gut says no, but the numbers say yes. And then the spread here. Pre-game numbers say pass. Halftime numbers actually like Loyola Maryland a little bit. Again, small, but they like it. Pre-game numbers say pass, and this is what most of it is. You know, the numbers supporting Coppin State were kind of strong, pre-game and halftime. But most of these are going to be small. You know the deal. Yeah. They like Loyola Maryland just a little bit. Nothing crazy, but just a little bit. I'm going to hold off on that one, though. Not making that an official play. And again, the under, the numbers like it. I made it official play, under 81, medium, small. My gut tells me no, and it's purely situationally, because when you have two teams like these who have a friend, you see this all the time. You've already seen it lots of times this year. A first half that is, way higher scoring than the than was anticipated pregame. These are not the kinds of games where the second half is a different situation. They're usually just like, all right, it's a Friday night, late December. Let's see if one of us can get to 100. But I bet the under because I do what the numbers say over my gut, usually, although I don't ignore my gut and my perceived experience, although I try to get on top of that as much as I possibly can. All right, so we had a lot of plays. Maybe I was a little loosey-goosey with these opinions here and official picks. Well, the opinions are fine. Official picks, again, Coppin State -1, medium big. The Mount St. Mary's Coppin State game under 74, small, and Loyola Maryland under 81, medium small. Numbers liked Loyola Maryland as well, just a little bit on the second half on the money line, -215, not the spread, -4. Very close. That's how these distributions kind of present themselves. But yeah, numbers liking Loyola Maryland money line, the under, Coppin State, and the under. Well, I guess that's it, unless I want to do some last-second converting of a play to just something I talked about to something official. Which I don't think I want to do. Just do one thing here, though. Sorry. We're gonna talk about NFL Week 17 in one moment. Just wanted to do something. All right, let's look at some comments coming in. Dear Slayer Ski, what's your take on Clemson, Ohio State? I don't really have one as of right now, although it's certainly very interesting. Paco, you can't be all loosey-goosey on your phone. Oh, yeah, Don Imus passed away. Shout out to Don Imus. That guy lived a full life, didn't he? Fuzz Logic says Coppin State down to -0.5. Well, all right. What can I tell you? I don't like to see that. You know what I'd say about college basketball markets in general? There have been some, and especially this year, At some point AI is going to take over, college basketball betting, and then all the market moves will be dead on. So far, that doesn't seem to be the case. I've seen a lot of market moves this year that baffled me, and that turned out to be, in retrospect, at least based on the results of the game, which I do place a high importance on, way off. So we'll see. I don't like to see it, though. What can I tell you? And if it loses, what can I tell you? Yeah, eventually my ROI is going to go to single digits. That's just how this stuff works, Let's look at some other comments here. Flick My Bick says, I know it's months away, people. When do you start looking into MLB teams and betting edges? Well, as early as possible. I mean, if I weren't, planning to be so, eyeballs deep in college basketball all through March Madness, I would start looking into MLB right now, and refining my strategies and methodologies and modeling and all that stuff, which I'm still going to do anyway, hopefully. But yeah, you start out. I mean, there's a whole process for MLB. If you have the time to do it, you start out with your basic forecasting, which deals with all the stuff that everyone does. The run differentials, all the sabermetrics, player projections, which is what mostly sets the market. Most of the people who have their spreadsheets and models and everything are looking at roughly the same stuff. So you're not going to come up with stuff that's too much different from what all those other people are going to come up with. But it's important to do, and then I look over each team and each player and each pitcher, and try to figure out which ones might be worth a little bit deeper research into. If someone might, there might be non-quantifiable reasons or harder to quantify reasons why that person might do a little bit better or worse than how everyone's expecting him to do, and I'll make notes of that. And and then just ideally I would be starting now, Flick My Bick, but I'm not, because I'm going to be diving in head first, full body, deep end college basketball. Let's look at some other comments. Hold on. Flick My Bick. Yeah, I love capping MLB. By far my best sport. This is what Flick My Bick says. I know, Pete, I hear you. Not enough hours in the day. Yeah, MLB is, for the people, well, like NBA, for the people who know what to look for, how to use it, and how to work with it, it's phenomenally popular. Yeah, I mean, they're phenomenally good at it. For the people who don't, they're usually on the wrong side of their eyeballing of market edges. I'm usually on the wrong side of NBA stuff. MLB, I'm usually, a bit on the right side. And this past year, I definitely was. You have your Noli Noah says, exactly, Pete. This season when I beat a spread by 4 more, I've been losing. Yeah. We talked about that in a bunch of shows. The best example, I think, there was a Yale game recently where I looked at it and I liked the over quite a bit. It was in the 136 or something. It wound up closing at 130. I think I bet the over big at 136.5, literally closed at 130 and went over by the middle of the second half. So it was just which has always kind of been the case with college basketball, but it almost seems like it's becoming more the case, which makes me think that maybe there are, there's a lot more people who are, have strong confidence that they know what they're, seeing and doing, and they might not, which would stand to reason if there's so many people, using all their Python, models and all their, scrapers and machine learning stuff. Those people have supreme confidence in what they do, which they probably should, but you still got to do it. Oh, wow. Okay. So the Coppin State game is off. Coppin State down by 1 point, 3.5 minutes gone. All right. We'll see how it all turns out. I made my picks, my official plays. Loyola Maryland on the money line could have been a medium small play. The Mount St. Mary's under and the Loyola Maryland under could have been arguably just, plays I talked about but didn't actually bet. All right, so that's it. We'll see how it turns out. What can I tell you? I'm overall, my record is way better than I was expecting, hoping for, or would have been satisfied with. And, The bad days are coming. Probably the bad weeks are coming. Hopefully not the bad months are coming, but that's not out of the question either. So we'll see. All right, so let's look at some comments. Let's talk a little bit about NFL Week 17 because I want to know what you guys think. I'll share with you what I think. And if Mr. Gokser sticks around, hit us up with some NHL plays. That'd be awesome. Paco Healy, will AI be the end of our edges? Paco Healy, AI is going to be the end of your life. Forget about edges. AI is going to be the end of your life. Okay? Yeah. When AI comes, your edges are going to be the least of your worries. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. What else do we have here? Let's look at some comments, and then let's talk a little bit about NFL Week 17. I want to see if there's any comments coming in that there's 30 people watching. Is that enough? You guys want to talk about NFL Week 17 a little bit? Let's talk about it. I'm just looking for comments, see if there's any comments that I missed here. Let's see. Comments. Shout out to everyone. John Doe, if you're watching. Nasty Nate, Fuzz Logic, Noli Knows, Alex Ramirez, Congo Bongo, Deer Slayer Ski. And as soon as I know it was a shout, let's talk about NFL Week 17 because I do love handicapping NFL. And overall, I was decent at it, Nothing crazy, but profitable. Shamil, tips on building a model. You can't ask that on a Friday night with New Year's coming up. Yes, I could give you some tips on building a model, but we'd be here. I have plans for New Year's. You know what I'm saying? I don't have, 120 hours in a row to sit here and discuss all the tips of building a model. The thing about model building, though, is that, I could talk about it for hours. And in fact, I might do a bunch of interviews for my channel if these guys will fucking talk to me, which they might not. You know what I mean? I want to do interviews with like the Ed Fengs of the world. They used to take my calls. Are they going to take my calls now? I don't know. If they don't, maybe we could have a little Twitter campaign to get them to do interviews with me. But one thing I want to do is interview a bunch of those guys. There's a lot of very interesting questions that I want to talk to them about. And one of the main questions I want to ask them is that, all these guys are looking at vaguely mostly the same things, except for people. Well, there's people who do NFL models that are player-based, which is kind of new. A lot of people who model NFL still don't do player-based models. But at a certain point, the models aren't going to have any edges on the market because, if you're doing a model and yours spits out something significantly different from what everyone else is spitting out, the chances are overwhelmingly high that it's because there's something wrong with what you did and not that something wrong with what all they did. But that's a whole other question. Dear Slayer Ski says that would be great content. Fuzz Logic, tips on fucking a model. Fuzz Logic, of course. Again, there's tons of tips. I only have a few minutes here. You know what I'm saying? Yes, I know how to fuck models. But if we start discussing that, we'd be here until New Year's, But yes, that's another topic I can talk about, Fuzz Logic. If you want to talk about it, if the demand is there, I know about that too. Yes, I do. I have lots of tips. They work. But we just don't have time right now. Okay, let's see. We got 28 people still watching. Shout out to everyone. Let's read some comments and let's talk about the NFL Week 17. Noli knows I was thinking Jets Bills under. I'll talk about that game. I was thinking Jets on that one, actually. All right, let's see. Mr. Gokser hitting us up with NHL plays as well. Small on St. Louis, Winnipeg, over 5.5. Man, I miss doing NHL, I'll tell you what, when I started sitting next to Jimmy the Bag, everything changed with me for NHL. All of a sudden, it was like my second best sport, second only to MMA. I used to skip NHL. Regular viewers might know I used to skip NHL regular season. I was always great at the playoffs in the NHL, but I used to skip the regular season and then started covering it with Jim every day, NHL, listening to him and listening to the viewers who were commenting. All of a sudden, I was double digits positive ROI in NHL out of nowhere. It was unbelievable. All right, so let's see. Shout out to, okay, so Noli knows likes Browns Bengals under 43. Yes. I was thinking about the Bengals on that one, actually. Everyone's talking about how, the Browns are in a classic situation. They've obviously underachieved this year, so now, this is a situation where, people look into that game and thinking, all right, the Browns want to, end the season with a, some kind of a positive note, a definitive win. I don't think so. I think it might be, a bigger thud. The Bengals as a home dog, I mean, they're terrible, obviously, but I ran some quick numbers. I did some quick research, and I was thinking that the Bengals might be a play, and maybe the Browns team total under, Noli knows. Maybe the Browns team total under, Noli knows. And Mr. Gokster, Pete, best listener in the game. Absolutely. Absolutely, Mr. Gokster. You know what I mean? What's important? Research, modeling, yes. What's most important is knowing how to listen. Knowing, not just listening, but knowing how to listen, like meditation. No meditation, not just closing your eyes and saying nothing. That's being boring. You have to know how to meditate as well as do it. Same thing with listening when it comes to sports betting analysis. You have to be willing to do it, love doing it, and know how to do it. Yes, I am. I am best in the game. It's not that many people who go on Twitter and say, I'm the best listener. They're always, I'm the best NFL handicapper, NHL handicapper. All right, so let's see. Vincent Czar says, longtime fan of you, Pete. Shout out to you. Beaver Winkle says, want to bet on Bears this week, but can't pull the trigger with Mitch at QB and Nagy calling offense. Yeah, that was a pass for me. I mean, I did in the contest, which is a straight up contest, I did use the Bears, but I don't think that, I looked into it a little bit, didn't think that there was enough reason to make it one of the underdog upsets. I kind of like the Bears, but I agree with you. I did not bet it. I did use it in a contest, but I would not bet it. Let's see. What else do we have here? All right. So, whoever's around right now, I'm going to pull up NFL Week 17 to remind myself. All right, Coppin State down by 1. God, I hope Coppin State can just pull this one out. I hope Coppin State can just somehow pull this one out. Just pull it out. Pull it out, baby. Pull it out. All right, let's just bring up NFL. Let me just refresh my my memory with the bets I made. Maybe you guys can help me out. Again, I took a shot with the Bengals spread, and I'm now thinking that maybe the the Browns team total under might be worth a play. I also was thinking about the Jets. The Jets are, they're gonna, the Bills are, they're, I know they're gonna like get guys reps and stuff, but this is a preseason game for them, right? Who knows exactly what they're gonna do, but basically this is a preseason game for them. I didn't, as with preseason games, you have to look in, do research in depth. There's no way you can. It's very hard to model a preseason game, so you have to just do, shoe leather type research. But everything I'm seeing, this is a preseason game for the Bills, right? And the Jets were already a spoiler last week, right? So they're coming off a spoiler win. I think they do it again. I took a shot with the Jets. Seems like a decent play and definitely a teaser. I haven't bet that yet, but the Jets in a teaser, teasing them to like 7.5, might be worth a shot, right? Jets on a teaser, maybe Jets and Cincinnati. That might be your teaser right there. 6-point teaser. Because the Jets are 1.5 right now, right? That might be your teaser right there. Jets and Cincinnati. What else was I thinking about? I'm sharing with you what I was thinking about. I took a shot with the over in Washington, Dallas at 45. I think Dallas will probably, they're in Dallas, the pressure's always to put on a little bit of a show. They should get the win. Kind of like the over. I could easily see this one, being close to over at halftime or going over late. So I kind of liked the over in that one. What else did I was thinking about the Jags as well against Indianapolis. Now that it's up to 4.5, I understand that all the research you could possibly do on this game says take the Colts. I don't know about that one. I was thinking about some plays, a little bit contrarian. I was thinking about Indianapolis. I was thinking about Seattle. I know Seattle's a terrible team with problems at running back, right? Niners are obviously awesome. That one's a little bit dicier, but I was thinking about the under 47. I bet that one, actually. The under 47 in San Francisco, Seattle. And I was also thinking about Seattle plus the points and the San Francisco team total under. And yes, I was thinking about Pittsburgh as well. I think that Pittsburgh is probably, I know the line's moved up, to Pittsburgh being a small favorite right now. That's another thing I was thinking about. I was thinking about Denver also. I know it's a big game for Oakland, but I was thinking about Denver. -3 or on the money line. And also, so that's what I was thinking about from NFL Week 17. Let me see. Let me just make sure I didn't miss anything here. Bengals and the Cleveland team total under. Jets over Buffalo. Washington, Dallas over. Thinking about the under in Philly Giants. Thinking about the under in Tennessee, Houston as well, although that line is dropped. Thinking about Jacksonville at 4.5. Right? Maybe Denver. Pittsburgh. Maybe Seattle, but maybe a bit more the Seattle-San Francisco under and the San Francisco team total under. That's what I was thinking about / betting, and it's what I bet for Week 17. Let's see what people have to say. Yes, Dear Slayer Ski, I like the Seattle-San Francisco underplay. Yeah, I definitely like that one more than taking Seattle plus the points. Let's see. Fap win says Atlanta, Tampa Bay. I took over. That one is just because it's just a weird situation with Winston. There's so much volatility with Winston. So much, Jameis Winston games have always, ever since he was in the league. It's not that I don't remember what my record was betting games with him, but it always made me nervous. Because his upside was so huge, his downside was so huge. Touchdowns and interceptions, huge volatility. Which was anytime you're dealing with high volatility in general, whatever you're betting, you want to try to take underdog lines, right? Anytime you're dealing with low volatility, no matter what you're betting, you want to look towards taking big favorite lines. So, in general, with Jameis Winston games, I would be looking to take underdogs one way or the other. That one I just have no real opinion on. Let's see what other comments are coming in. Let's see. Other comments. Flick my Bick should be hell of a January. Yeah, let's see. Paco Healy said, I like that Jets play. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, Paco Healy. That's I don't care what they say. I don't care what research you do. I don't care what articles you pull up. That's a preseason game for Buffalo, right? I know they're like, we're not going to put, we're not going to use kid gloves with any of these guys. Bullshit. Of course they are. Give me a break. Let's see. Other comments here. Other comments coming in. I guess that's about it. People were talking about MLB. Dear Slayer Ski, looking forward to MLB. See, I have the best viewers in the world. You guys see this? St. Eve and Michael Madara says, once AI comes, the only edges we will have is on Pornhub. Nice. That's from St. Eve and Michael Madara. That gets Best Comedy Line Comment of the Week award. Goes to St. Eve and Michael Madara. Shout out to you. Never seen that name before. That was a good line, though. Very nicely done. All right, other comments coming in. Yeah, Noli knows exactly beat the season when I beat a spread by 4 more. I've been losing. And Noli knows the same thing happened to me in baseball this past year. Again, I was doing everything that you're supposed to do down to the T in baseball this past year. I was tracking the line movements, everything, calculating the edge on the closing line value, all this stuff. And so basically, the plays that I had, I had my plays that were in my spreadsheet, sending them out actually to some quantitative guys. I told the story before in shows, but there was one guy who a good friend of mine who's never said one positive thing about my handicapping ever. And finally, when he saw my MLB work this past summer, he finally said one mildly positive thing, and it was unbelievable. It blew my mind. But Noli knows this past year in MLB, when I beat the closing line by a mile, which happened a decent amount, beat the closing line by a mile from pinnacle to pinnacle. Those picks were positive, but only slightly. And then the picks where I beat the closing line, but not by a lot, those were positive as well, and more so. And then all my plays where I didn't beat the closing line at all, those were like almost undefeated. When there was a play that I predicted would beat the closing line but didn't, literally lost against the closing line, negative closing line value. Those plays of mine in MLB this past year were almost undefeated. It was unbelievable. There was a strong inverse relationship between my closing line value and the actual results. Now, of course, that could just be anomalous, but it was very, and I could feel it coming. I would make some play, beat the closing line by a mile, and I'd feel nervous about it. It would lose, make some other play, expected to beat the closing line, didn't beat it, and wondered what the hell was going on. And those plays would always would invariably turn out to be winners. So it was a very weird season in MLB for me. Very weird season as you're looking at as well in college basketball with the line movements this year. So who knows? We'll see what it turns out. We'll see how it all turns out. All right, so I guess we'll wrap this up very soon, unless anyone has any other comments on NFL Week 7. Again, I'm thinking Cincinnati, as bad as they are, might be a play. Cleveland team total under. The Jets, kind of like in that one. Jacksonville, thinking about that. No one commented on that one. I feel like everyone thinks I'm wrong, But Brissett's been struggling. And the Jags, all sorts of, turmoil this year, disappointing year. That's exactly the kind of team where things can turn on a dime kind of unexpectedly in Week 17, especially at home against a team like Indianapolis. So that's seeing this line movement, I'm thinking the Jags might be the play at 4.5. Pittsburgh liking, Denver maybe, and the under in San Francisco, Seattle, and maybe the San Francisco team total under as well. All right. That's about it. We're going to wrap this up. Deer Slayer Ski says, appreciate the show, Pete. Shout out to you, Deer Slayer Ski. And let's just take one final look at the Coppin State game. I have a bad feeling about this, man. I have a bad feeling about this. Oh, boy, I hope they cash. Oh, geez, I hope they cash. Oh, geez. Let's see where we are. Oh, gosh. Yeah, they're down by 5. 8.5 minutes to go. Looking bad. All right. Might be a loss, That's how this stuff goes. Like I said, I always say the losses are going to come, but that doesn't make it any easier to swallow when they finally do. That's it. That's it for today's show. I'm going to be back on Monday, and I'll see you all then. Thanks so much for tuning in and for all your support.